Alright guys, so Firecracker Acer 87AC wanted to know why the Imperium's technology is so backwards, and he decided to put a video in about it, and it's by PancreasNoWork. Now, there's a very easy answer to this. The Imperium's technology is so backwards because of the Mechanicus. It has technology at all, again, because of the Mechanicus. Technology in the Imperium is a really weird thing, especially considering what humanity was capable of at the end of near the end of the Dark Age of technology. The one, just to give you an idea, one of the best pieces of military gear in the Imperium is the suits of Terminator armor. Now, suits of Terminator armor were not meant as weapons of war. They were made as mining gear. The Imperial Knight was meant as an industrial-grade lumberjack. That's how ridiculous we've gotten. That's how painful it is. We use these things as weapons of war. The Imperium, in its present state, would be like peasants compared to the Dark Age of technology, using pitchforks and axes used to chop wood and bale hay. That's where we're at. Let's get into this. Why the Imperium's technology is so backwards.
Back in 40k is a bit scuffed, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Accidental rhyming aside, they used to have all sorts of nifty things like weaponized teleportation, all-knowing AI, and other cool sci-fi stuff like that. Now, they have pretty much none of that. The only people that likely have that kind of stuff are the Custodes, who keep it locked away in the Emperor's basement for safety reasons, and the Adeptus Mechanicus, who have it in the same way I technically have a pancreas. It's there somewhere, yeah, but I don't use it. And neither do they. The technology or my pancreas either works. And the reasons for this are many. Some of them self-inflicted, some of them actually valid for the safety of mankind. Why don't we see why the Cogboys don't invent new stuff, or entrust what they have to literally anyone? Let's go through the reasons that are the Mechanicus' own fault first. They're much less interesting to talk about since A, a lot of people already know them, and B, I address these points in my Mechanicus do or don't, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. If I flub the releases of those videos and this comes out beforehand, then my apologies, but it'll make a bit more sense when that comes out. You'll accuse me of running out of ideas either way, which is true, but shut up. But before I go on, I should tell you that this video was sponsored by Nordvpn. Internet privacy is no joke. There's no sense beating around the bush, so let's get right into things, shall we? Maybe you already know this, maybe you don't, but just in case, did you know Nord has servers in 59 countries? Over 5,600 servers, to be specific. Why would this be needed? A whole ton of reasons, that's why. For entertainment reasons, maybe you're a big fan of a certain show and really want to be able to stream it at your convenience. But unfortunately, the platform you want to watch it on doesn't have it in their catalog, in your country, that is. But somewhere across the world, people can watch it to their heart's desire. That seems a bit unfair, doesn't it? I would agree with you, and so does Nord. At the click of a button, you can access that country's version of a streaming service, and suddenly you can go ahead and watch whatever it is you wanted to. Or if a game you'd like is blocked in a certain country, just have your computer be in another country. Even if all the games you play aren't region locked, Nord can still give you a hand because you might just find out that a game you've been eyeing for a while is only on sale elsewhere. Surely you'd like to save some cash, and with Nord, you can hunt for deals like a tiger stalking its prey. Right, that might be just a smidge overdramatic, but the point still stands.
Little bit.
So with Nord, these are all possibilities. And of course, security. Let's talk about one of Nord's other products, NordPass. If you're like a lot of people, you might use the same password for multiple sites. Now, if one of the sites you use the password of password123 for gets compromised, someone might get your login information, which means they now have the ability to log onto your account on any of the websites you have an account under.
And this is why we can't have nice things.
Combat this, first of all, change your password for the love of God. And if you purchase NordPass, your passwords will be kept safe and sound on top of it. NordVPN's threat protection features make it stand out as more than just a VPN. If you're worried about people stalking you online, Nord can help prevent that. It detects malware that might be hidden in a file, so it keeps you from breaking your PC because you just blindly download random images off of Google for your YouTube channel. It even automatically scans and blocks malicious URLs, because sometimes when this hypothetical person is looking for things online, they don't pay too much attention to where they end up. And to put the cherry on top of all these wonderful features, using my link that's located in the description and pinned comment of this video, as well as on the screen at this very moment, please look at the screen right now to see it, you get not only a huge discount, but 4 bonus months on any plan of your choosing. Not only do you get the product at a discount, you get 4 extra months of it. There's nothing more important than keeping yourself safe, and with my handy link, you get it at a discount. Get NordVPN today, and keep yourself safe online.
So if you're looking for things online, and you don't want to be found, NordVPN, his promo code is going to be in the description down below. Get it.
Now, back to talking about technology. First off, a lot of Imperial tech is backwards because Mechanicus doesn't let anyone use it.
This is
one
true.
of the reasons for that is pretty self-explanatory if you think about it. If you have a super weapon capable of making a star system explode and the other guy doesn't, you have a leg up on him.
Right.
If you both have it, you're on equal footing. Therefore, the Mechanicus sometimes doesn't share shit purely to be selfish and lord power over others. It's 40k. If the idea of someone acting purely for their own gain bothers you, then I don't know how you ended up being a fan of this setting. The other reason that it's the Mechanicus' own fault is they ban innovation. Officially, anyways. Plenty of tech priests of all ranks try to fly under the radar with that kind of stuff. Getting caught
Belisarius Call.
usually results in demotion to lobotomite or death, but that's just the price you pay. The reasoning essentially boils down to ancient mankind already discovered all we needed to know. They just had the wrong idea about stuff like worshipping your light bulb. Therefore, there should be no need to invent new tech, but instead you should always look for what's lost because it's proven to be better than anything we have nowadays. If you don't do that and get the mad idea in your head that you know better than your predecessors, then to put it in the most polite terms possible, you can eat shit and die. Well, the Mechanicus doesn't come down at some primitive world because some caveman there invented fire. If you do some real future science, you're in trouble. But in saying that last one is a self-imposed reason for bad technology, there's more to it than just that. That's certainly a big part of the reason, don't get me wrong. There are without a doubt cases where research that damn well may save the Imperium is halted for no better reason than new stuff bad, old stuff good. But
True.
there's something very important to consider, why that reason exists. Why exactly the Mechanicus hates when you develop something new instead of finding something old to replicate. Because it sure as hell isn't because the Mechanicus hates technology that's better than what they got. If that was the case, then the Mechanicus wouldn't be digging through every planet they can find, hoping to find a USB stick that contains all the knowledge in the universe. No, the reason they hate people inventing new things, and indeed at least part of the reason they refuse to share so much of what they do have, is because of the fundamental way technology works in 40k. Have you ever had a flash of inspiration? Maybe you were working on a school essay and got stumped for a while, when all of a sudden the perfect idea comes to you and you finish the paper in moments. Maybe you have a problem at work when all of a sudden everything just lines up and it's solved immediately. Or maybe you're the author of some absolutely horrendous smut like Squad Broken, and like divine providence striking you, you come up with the absolute best way of describing someone's balls. See, the thing
Wait. What?
about that in 40k is that sometimes those flashes of inspiration are actually divinely inspired. There actually is a deity plugging knowledge into your brain so you can put it into work in whatever way you need. The problem is that in this setting, the gods that usually do that are not the nicest folks around.
That's
Actually,
a
now that
definite.
I'm thinking about it, that's probably what gave us Squad Broken in the first place. Let's run through a scenario. You're a tech priest who's just had a long day of work. Despite the fact that you shouldn't be inventing new
I don't want to know what Squad Broken is. I don't want to know. I just don't.
stuff, you feel like your research is on the cusp of success, but you just can't quite figure out what you're missing. Right now, though, all you want to do is go back to your quarters and sleep. Or depending on how augmented you are, go into sleep mode. Upon waking, or rebooting as it were, you awake with the perfect solution. It's almost as if something whispered it into the back of your mind when you rested. Furthermore, let's say your research involves making a new kind of grenade, one that packs all the power of a Baneblade shell into a nice and portable container. That'll give the Tau some pause for thought when they see some random guardsman casually send a bunker straight to EBDB. You fervently go to work and finish your project. You go to test it and surprise! Upon pulling the pin, you've just created a portal to the warp and demons eat you and everyone around you. Turns out a voice actually did whisper that knowledge into your brain, and that voice was Tzeentch having a laugh. Part of what makes development so dangerous is that gods and demons actively screw around with the mortal world, and whispering sweet nothings into some researcher's ear is a perfect way to get some low-effort, high-reward dickery done. Hell, you might do something like that on accident, and the Mechanicus doesn't want to risk accidental chaos corruption because someone decided to upgrade their Lehman Russ a bit. If nothing else, there's only so much that the Inquisition is willing to let them get away with. Of course, there's plenty of other reasons as well. Mankind has lost a great deal of its technology, to the point that even finding a perfectly functioning warship or something like that isn't the end of the challenge, because you probably have no idea how to actually use the thing. And even if you do know how to use it, you definitely don't know how it works. Let's go through another scenario. I may or may not make up several of these as I go, because they're an easy way to demonstrate I almost know what I'm talking about. If the scenario sounds familiar to you, it's because I'm ripping it off of the 1D4chan page on the Mechanicus.
Okay.
So if you'd like to read instead of listen, go there. Let's say you work at a power plant that's largely run by AI. Simple. You probably don't know how it works, but you know enough to do your job. Then one day your superiors come to you and say, now build another one. How the fuck are you going to do that? You don't know how to generate power and maintain the machines and the infrastructure and the several other things that would require a whole team of people to do. But let's say you do now. You find a genie in the bottle, and instead of wishing for something cool like money, world peace, or a stand, you magically know everything about your power plant. You can build a new one now, right? No, you still can, because building it requires all sorts of technological prowess and machines and whatnot that you don't have access to. That's another fundamental problem with the Mechanicus' use of technology. Even if they had all the knowledge of how X thing works, they still can't use use it because it requires access to Y thing, and the knowledge of how to build Y thing is not only lost, but itself also requires Z thing. So just start dicking around instead, right? If you find a perfectly intact piece of machinery, then just take it apart and rebuild it. Fine idea, bozo. Why don't you take apart whatever you're watching this on and rebuild it from scratch? You
Exactly.
ripped it apart, surely you know how to make a new one now, right? Maybe you're thinking, but I'm not trained in how to build phones or computers, dumbass. If I was a future scientist priest guy, I'd surely be able to. Fair enough, but the issue's still the same.
Exactly.
The Mechanicus aren't trained in that kind of stuff because no one is anymore. Plus, if you only have one of that thing and in trying to figure it out you break it, you now have 0 of that thing and your superiors are probably going to be angry with you, to say the least.
Yes.
Best to just leave it alone and maybe use it if the situation desperately calls for it. Even if they can figure it out, let's go back to the power plant situation. You somehow managed to build this thing perfectly from scratch and it works like a charm. Great. Now upgrade it. If you built one, you can surely upgrade one, yeah? Well, maybe. Best case scenario, you double your power output. Worst case scenario, whatever city you've been powering goes up in smoke. What'll probably end up happening is you just screw around with different things and the end result is largely a waste of time, likely only slightly more or slightly less efficient than what you started out with. With that in mind, why bother with it? The risk of breaking something or causing some absolutely catastrophic meltdown is too great. So even when they find something intact, it's usually best to learn only the bare minimum to keep it running. It's just accept that unless you find another copy, this is all you have. To say nothing of how dangerous it can be to dig around with this kind of thing, even when it does work perfectly. The Men of Iron are the simplest example of what happens when in the Mechanicus' eyes you go too far. If you make AI, they're gonna rebel eventually. You might say, just fix the problem for next time and you'll be good. Yeah, man, just fix the problem. That's some real middle management brilliance right there. No one in the Mechanicus knows for certain why the Men of Iron rebelled. And while the Mechanicus might be able to fix the problem, a robot apocalypse isn't something you want to gamble a dice roll on. Besides, humanity and 40k are...
See, the Mechanicus might be ridiculous, but they're not Eldrad ridiculous, okay? Eldrad bet the entire future of his race on, like, resurrecting in Ned, and, yeah, I'm getting off that horse. I'm getting off the horse.
Already went through one AI rebellion. No one wants a second one, and building more AI makes that a possibility. Even at quote-unquote lower levels of technology, there's still this danger. When I don't understand how a program on a computer works, I can click around and see what happens until I figure it out. If I'm a Mechanicus adept and try to do that with some long-forgotten super weapon I found in a trash can, I'm going to vaporize a Forge World by mistake. That, incidentally, is also why the Mechanicus doesn't share nearly half of what they find and make. While selfishness and wanting more power are undoubtedly parts of it, another part is that if they can't figure out how something works, then some random space marine sure as shit isn't going to be able to, and is also just going to end up causing more problems as well. And as much as hoarding things to keep it safe in case someone turns to chaos is a selfish reason, it's a reason that is justified often enough that no one calls them out on it. Even if you do figure out how to mass produce and recreate your planet-destroying laser to give to everyone, it just takes one guard regiment deciding Court is in fashion this season and you just lost yourself a sector. To say nothing of whether or not whatever you're building is worth building regardless of how great it is in theory. The Necrons have that funny button that can destroy any star in the galaxy, and they understand how it works perfectly. Except they never use it, because if they either use it on the wrong star or used it too often, it could cause a chain reaction of supernovas and wipe out the galaxy. If the Necrons say a piece of technology can go too far, maybe it's best to listen to them on this kind of thing. There's one final potential solution you might think would work, and that's to take a planet at a level of technology where the Mechanicus can safely say they know how everything on it works, completely isolate it, and wait for whatever they develop to come out so they can reproduce it. Let's say it's at roughly our level of technology, because despite what you might think, the Mechanicus perfectly understands science as we know it today. You could even plaster the whole thing in holy wars, so no demons can do just a smidgen of trolling and ruin the development. In theory, this would be the perfect way to get some technology back. The problem is time. For the sake of simplicity, humanity in 40k took about 20,000 years from modern times to the future to reach the peak of the dark age of technology. It might be a few thousand years more or less, but 20k is nice and even, so let's go with that. That's a long time even by 40k standards, where a decade may as well be a day. The Imperium doesn't have 20,000 years to just wait and see what happens. The Mechanicus rapidly searches for lost pieces of technology because they can't afford to wait. They don't...
This is extremely true.
Need a solution to their problems within the next 5 centuries, they need one in the next 5 minutes. Taking a break means devoting resources away from the orcs, chaos, and all sorts of other nasties, and to keep itself from collapsing, the Imperium can't afford to do so. And even in the perfect scenario where this thing is allowed to happen, once other factions like Chaos find out what the Imperium is doing, they're gonna send all they can to stop it. There's a few other miscellaneous things I want to go over really quickly. 1, the Leagues of Otan. After all, they seem to be doing pretty well with themselves and their almost archaeotech. Well, that's true, they have a whole history and culture and entirely separate from the Imperium. Just copy and pasting what worked for them would cause a whole lot of upheaval, to say nothing of whether it would even work after 10k years of divergent development and the leagues not exactly being open with their secrets. The leagues have also lost the ability to make some of the higher end stuff themselves, like the Votan they so desperately need to keep themselves afloat, so in many ways they're not that different from the Imperium and the Mechanicus. They're really just at a different stage of technological regression. Same thing goes for trying to reverse engineer Necron tech, with the added bonus of them being even less likely to share with you than the squats, because at least the squats are willing to do some ultra capitalism. What the hell are you gonna trade a Necron for his stuff? Your skin that he planned on flaying from your body anyways? As for why they don't use STCs more often to boost themselves up, those being the stuff that lets the Imperium mass produce ancient goodies, that's just an issue of time again. Parts may have been destroyed, Chaos might have tampered with it in the interim, so whatever you build just ends up with another demon grenade, and if nothing else, it's been 10,000 years since the damn thing has seen the sun. It might have just degraded to the point of near uselessness, and even if it hasn't, everything else I've said still applies here. As for the Mechanicus being overly dogmatic and unreasonable about this stuff, they're really not. They're scientists, they're just fully aware of the batshit insane setting that they live in. A galaxy where demons are very much real and are happy to meddle in whatever affairs they can. Where damn near everything beyond a light switch they make has AI fragments, or actual spirits of machines inside of them that need to be pleased. For every example of tech heresy needlessly holding the Imperium back, there's an example of a tech priest being torn apart by what he created because he didn't listen to his supervisors telling him that caution is key. The Mechanicus worship a machine god. They're very much fans of rationalism and all that good stuff. But for lack of a better way to put it, they're very genre savvy about the setting that they live in. 40k isn't miserable because everyone in it is an idiot. Everyone in it is an idiot because reason got shot when it tried to walk through the front door, and being a lunatic is all that's left. Jamming their souls into a ghost robot is the Elder equivalent of the afterlife. Why would humanity have it any better? And even if you still think the Mechanicus is unreasonable after all this, there's two things I'd like to say to that. One is that 40k is misery porn in the setting, and it's just kind of how it works. Bit weak of a reason I know, but that's how it is. The galaxy wouldn't be nearly as fun if everyone in it wasn't an asshole. The other is that if you lived in this galaxy, wouldn't you be a bit unreasonable? Thank you as always to my wonderful channel members.
Let's get to the thing at the end. What's this? Hold on.
And of course, the biggest reason they don't share their technology at all, one of them has by now surely found the STC for some fat anime-tittied AI, and there's no way they're sharing that.
Okay. So, the mechanic... It's all true. Imagine if we lost the ability, like, if everything just shut down, nobody knew how to build anything anymore, what would we do? What if the people that knew, every single person that knew how to do everything that we do in this wild and magnificent world, all of a sudden vanish into thin air? Like, what do you really know how to do? As for, does anybody that watching this know how to program a computer? Does anybody know how to solder a computer together? I mean, it's so easy to ask questions like, you know, why things are the way they are in the Imperium, but when you really look into the reasons behind it, it gets so convoluted so fast. The primary reason, simply put, is everyone has they've forgotten how to science at a fundamental level. They've forgotten how to science, and that's what's going on. So, he said the average Mechanicus understands science in the same way that we do. I would actually say that they don't. They would have about a 1900s understanding of the sciences, and it's because nobody will allow them to do it because too many times bad stuff has happened because of that. The most innovation that has been done is attaching different turrets to tanks, and that's pretty much it. Fabius Bile did a lot of innovation, if you want to call it that, and Belisarius Cull, of course, did his own thing, but he's the biggest tech heretic in history. In any case, yeah, that was what I expected, and I'll catch you guys next time. All of PancreasNoWork's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own. And, yeah. I'm completely done. I'll catch you guys next time, and don't look at the anime girl for too long. I know you're looking at it. I know you are. Stop. Stop.